Good day, my esteemed viewers. You're welcome to another exciting episode on Dream Big and Think Bigger. I'm your host, Hilda Kenneth, and on today's episode, we'll be conversing on the continued unity and peaceful coexistence among the Calabaris ahead of the 2023 general election. Of course, I'll not be doing it all by myself. I have a wonderful guest with me today, which is none other than architect TONYE Patrick Cole. He's the co-founder and former executive director of the Sahara Group and also the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC) in Rivers State. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Hilda.
Your Excellency, I would like you to clear the air because there are a lot of rumors that a lot of people don't know how you're related to the Kalabari clan and don't know you personally. They only hear that, oh, you're into Sahara Group and all of that. So we would like for you to tell the Kalabari people how you're related to them so that they will know you better, just in case they want to go and verify.
That's okay. So I'm from Jack's compound in Abonema. My father is the oldest chief in Kalabari, the oldest chief in Kalabari. I think that's enough to certify and stamp my Calabariness first and foremost. But I have cousins that are also well known and uncles. So let's start with the late Alabo, TONYE, Graham Douglas. That name TONYE should ring a bell because my name is also TONYE. Why it is actually prevalent is that when I was born, the first person, my father was in school at the time in New Zealand, the first person to receive me was Alabo TOG Graham Douglas. And as an honor to him, he was given the right to name me. And so he named me after himself. So my name, TONYE Cole. I think TONYE is a Kalabari name, if I think
Yeah,
right.
it is.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know me. Oh, I borrowed the name. But I haven't said that. So the Graham Douglases are my cousins. Caribbean Whites are my cousins. The Jacks, almost all the Jacks, whether it's from the Jew or young Jack, we have cousins there. So I don't belabor the point. It's because you asked. It's like me asking you that. Can you prove that you're a woman? Ready to start?
Okay, sir. So what should the Rivers be expecting when you emerge governor come 2023 election, after the 2023 election rather, and then most importantly, what should the Kalabari people be expecting since as their son? What should they be expecting come 2023?
It's a good question, and I think the first thing that we need to address in Rivers State as a whole is the issue of people-centered government. A government that actually listens, feels the pulse of the people, and deals with what the people are suffering, first and foremost. So let's deal with that aspect. And one of the prevalent things that really does not care whether you're Kalabari, whether you're in Guinea, whether you're from Andoni, really doesn't care if you're Ogoni or if you're Ekwere, is poverty, first and foremost. Anywhere you go across the state, you see poverty and it's prevalent. So the first aspect of what we need to deal with is how do we ensure that money that people need to just survive on a daily basis gets to them. How do you even begin to address that issue so that a man or a woman can live with some sense of dignity? The point of breaking down human beings such that they become beggars even in their own land is pitiful. And we must lift up the dignity of the Rivers man, first and foremost. It doesn't matter whether you're Kalabari or whether you're Ekwere or you're Ogoni. We must deal with poverty at the base level. But then there are also grades of poverty. There is poverty that poverty calls poor. And unfortunately, what we have seen across the Niger Delta, but particularly in Niger land and particularly amongst the Calabaris and the riverine communities, is poverty at a different level. Where the other day I was at the waterfronts here, at Bundu, at Dockyard, and you will not believe that one of the simplest requests for dignity, was a toilet. A whole community community the simple thing of having a toilet where they can go and just ease themselves in dignity. Within the waterfronts, they have to pay to use a toilet. And when I'm talking of toilets, I'm not talking of a toilet that has facility. It's from the riverine community to know what our toilets are. Just something over the water plant and just where you can do your business in private. But here somebody has to pay 50 naira for each time that they have to go and use the toilet. And there's only one for a whole community. In Isaka, the one thing that the women asked for, just women, they said, please, can we have a toilet? That there's none here. We have to go to the forest, we have to go to the bush. And you could see the shame written all over them.
That's sad.
It is sad, it's terrible. It's terrible. So I would say when we talk about what is the first thing that one needs to do, I think anything that will lift dignity of the human being to feel that they have a government that actually listens to them, I think that's the first thing that we need to do. Let's listen and let's act. Let's not just behave as if we have all the answers.
So do you have it mapped out, like how to carry out this plan?
Of course I do.
Would you like to share?
A bit, no problem. So the first one, I've already talked about dignity,
Yeah.
and I've told you two things. And I said first, even if you look at community by community, and we are talking about riverine communities first of all, the first aspect of it are toilets. First, how do we just even deal with first line just creating toilets so that people can go and have dignity? It sounds like a small thing, but it's a very, very big thing to also deal with that. I remember once I went to a community where people actually died and pregnant women could not go to give birth because the tide had left, low tide, and so boats could not come. This was at Peterside in Bonny. What was the challenge there? The simple challenge was that they did not have a jetty. A simple challenge, jetty. And so they said, please, can we have a jetty so that we don't have to die because of the tide? How much is a jetty? It can't be that difficult to put jetties so that as a medical emergency, a boat can come, take them to the nearest hospital. Okay, so that's just on the very basic bring up dignity parts of life that we have to deal with. Let me let you ask the next question.
Okay. Your Excellency, how do you intend to uphold the culture of the rivers people, following the notion that you are not familiar or conversant with the culture and tradition of the rivers people?
Okay. So let us start with, for those who know me, so let's start with Owus. You know what an Owu is? Masquerade.
Yeah.
All right. From the age of 8 till about 13, I used to be the junior masquerade. I used to dance. I used to carry the masquerade. So I was an Owu dancer.
Really? I'm sure that people don't know that part of you.
They don't have to. If they want to ask, you see, if people want to ask truly and they really care to know, it does not take, it's not far. Abuema is a very small community. It's a big town, but communities are small, and everybody who grew up with us knows us. So that's just on Owu. And I went to Owu first of all, because if you're talking about culture and tradition, go to the masquerades. So if you know the masquerades, then I don't need to talk about anything else.
Okay. Sir, Your Excellency's brother, I would like for us to read some comments because we're on live from Comrade Reginald Solomon. Sir, what are your plans for the Kalabari Kingdom in terms of development? I think you've shared some light. Well, would you like to answer that?
I could. Now, the first thing that we should remember about Kalabari is, as a people, was that one, we were very enlightened, two, we were very commercial, three, we were very hospitable, and four, we had culture. So I talked about masquerades in the past. The first thing that you needed to do when you wanted fun and you wanted to know how to just, I won't call it party, just how to live a good life, you go into the Kalabari communities back then. What was it about? It was about the dignity of the human being. The Calabaris carry dignity. This has been brought down bastardly in three ways. The first is that education has been totally pulverized across the entire Calabaris.
True.
Good. So the first aspect of it is that you have to deal with the education of our children, first and foremost. Secondly, almost every youth within the Kalabari communities that live within the islands of Kalabari, they are very unemployed today. You know? And one ties to the other. So how do you deal with that aspect of it? You must give uh, alternate use of their talent and energy. The devil always, always, always will find plenty use for idle hands. What do we have within the Kalabari tradition and culture? I talked about ooze and all of that. Why? Because it was a place where, as a young person, we used to express ourselves, whether it was in dance, whether it was in culture, and all of that. Again, within the Kalabari youth sector, sports, culture, entertainment, music, IT are all things that must capture that demography of our youth, and we must bring it in. Somebody had this great idea to create a sports academy at Isaka. Again, understanding that you needed a place for young people to go and express themselves in sports. Recently, we've been celebrating Nigeria breaking world records and all. That could be your child, it could be your daughter, it could be any one of those youths who have the latent talent and the gift, but are sitting down today with nothing, no expression. We have people like Bona Boy, again, from a riverine community. How did he become? Education, an expression of his talent, and the opportunity was given for him at his stage to carry it out. We need to create more of that. So for the Calabaris, we know that we have talent. We need to tap it, we need to bring it, and we need to express it. That's on the youth. Let me touch on another thing that has been of great concern to me. There was a day I went to Idama and we were speaking to some of the people there. And a little child came out, and I saw the women as the child came out running, just half naked child running, the way children run. And the women were trying to beat the child. I said, no, bring the child. And the child came and I carried the child. So I love children, first of all. And they just bring children with me. So I carried this child. I said, where's your mother? And the whole community knows the mother. The child must have been about maybe 2.5, maybe 3 years old. So the whole community went to the mother, and I saw the mother sitting down. She must have been a girl of 20, she could have been a day older than 24, 25, thereabouts. So I was carrying this child of 2.5, and I saw she had another child on her lap. So she was nursing another child. And then I said, oh, you have another child. Whose child is that? I said, it's my own. Okay. How many children do you have? And this girl of 24 said 6. You know, and I noticed the murmuring around almost immediately, and I overheard them say, from different fathers. So not to embarrass her, I stopped. But I understood immediately that here we have yet another grave social problem that we find within the riverine communities of teenage pregnancies at a high level. So by 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, most are mothers. Most are mothers. And we can give many examples of this. So what is happening here? We need to deal with that aspect of it. And we need to deal with it for all the social reasons that come along with it. Um, One statistics that most people have been quiet about, for example, is that River State has been oscillating between second and third in terms of HIV.
Yeah, I heard of that.
It's a problem.
A big one.
It's a big problem. And again, it's affecting our youth. And it's unprotected sex, it's idle hands, it's lack of education, it's all of these things that the riverine community has suffered because people have not paid attention to the Calabaris and our plight. No, not just the Calabaris, in fact, to all of the riverine communities. So we need to address those things. These are some. I can go on. I can give you a lot more, but let's.
We have some few comments we would like to really attend to. The second one is Jay Martins. Can he mention the names of various Kalabari LGAs?
Of Kalabari LG.
LGAs.
This guy is such a. Okay. So you have Akuku Toro, that's where I come from. You have Asari Toro, which my stepmom comes from. You have Delga, Degema local government. Is he okay with that, or he wants me to start breaking down villages within that?
Okay, so, Your Excellency, moving to my next question. What do you think is the problem of River State and its people?
I think the first aspect of it is that River State is a rich state with very poor people. Okay, and that's it's an oxymoron. You can't be very rich and yet you have a prevalence of poor people. So something is wrong with that dynamics. And so I think the prevalent problem is that the money that the state earns is not translating directly into the upliftment of human development of the people directly. We can use that money to build infrastructure, and it's okay. I have nothing wrong with building roads or bridges and things like that. So take the money, build infrastructure. But your greatest capital and your greatest asset is human. You and I were talking before the program started, and I asked you a couple of things. I asked you why you are doing this job. I asked you about who your role model is. And I asked you what you wanted to be down the line. You told me why you are doing it. You told me who your role model is. But the most important thing was that you said you wanted to be global. In other words, you have taken yourself, situated yourself, you have an anchor as to who you are looking forward to. But even the person you are looking forward to has inspired you such that you now want to be even bigger and global. That is human development. Now imagine you, Hilda Kenneth, years from 15 years from now, a total global brand. You may not be in Kalabari TV then, no problem, or maybe Kalabari TV may be global then, whatever the case. But the point is that you would have carried yourself and so many others along with you into a global platform. Imagine the many young people that will now look to you as their own role model, wanting to do greater and wanting to do better. The biggest development that River State needs today is human development. Let us develop our people so that we don't have one Burna Boy. We don't have one TONYE. I've been global. I've done businesses globally. But how many Rivers people can we count at that level? There shouldn't be one. There shouldn't be two. It shouldn't be one hand. For who we are as a people, we need to have at the very least 100 of TONYE, 100 of Burna Boys. We need that. And we can be that. And we must be that. But it's human development. It must be done.
Okay. Your Excellency, why do you think the Kalabari chief endorsed you to be their candidate? Meanwhile, you have other counterparts still from Kalabari. Why do you think they picked you?
I can't answer for them in that question, with that question. But you put thing, so I can't answer why I think, or why they did. But let me put myself, and if I were in the shoes of a chief and I was looking to make a determination as to who I would support, are there things that I bring to the table for them that will give them the confidence that I should be the one to be endorsed? One, I come from a family that is steeped in deep tradition when it comes to the Calabaris. For anybody who knows Kalabari culture well, and you know the Jews are among the founding fathers of Abonima. You can't go deeper, you can't go richer than that. And this blood is directly there. Can't take it away. So when it comes to rooting, only those who are a bit, they don't know, and so they ask the kind of questions they ask, but I don't really bother myself too much about that. The truth of the matter is that in these veins, you have a Jew blood running through it. My stepmother, who is late now, who brought me up, my mother died when I was 11. My stepmom, who brought me up all through, is a direct descendant of the Amakris. Direct, not half, not King Amakri, not one quarter, not direct. Full flowing Amakri from Buguma. The second Amakri family is part of who I am. The home I grew up in, Chief Napo Graham Douglas, I lived with him from when I was 6 till when I was 15. His wife, my auntie, Christina, late now, Graham Douglas, is my stepmom's sister, full sister, Amakri. The Amakris are my cousins. So if I was a chief and I was thinking that who represents me and which families do I want that would understand that I know where to hold this man from? Amakris from Buguma, they know where to hold me. All the way from Abisia, where we started the journey, they know where to hold me. The Jews know where to hold me. So the chiefs, let's start from that. Secondly, I talk a lot about restoring dignity. And why is that? The Council of Chiefs, from the Amayana boards all the way to the Council of Chiefs, hold a very, very important place in our tradition that has been totally and cruelly hampered. We need to restore dignity back, and they know it. They know that they need a governor that is not going to be threatening them every day, threatening them with removing them from their stool, abusing them from the beginning to the bottom. No, we don't need that. And they know. I respect you for who you are. You sit on a stool that is older than you. You are a chief on a stool that was there before you and will be there after you. That stool must be respected. My father sits on a stool. Ideally, I should be the one. He's been trying to get me to take over as a chief on that stool. But I respect it. And I know that after he's gone, that stool remains. The next person to sit on that stool, whether it's me or a cousin or my brother or my children, anyone, deserves respect. You don't abuse people left, right, and center. No, and the chiefs, they know that. Lastly, there's something about the Kalabari man that you cannot take away. no matter what you do. You can abuse us, you can press us, you can impoverish us, but every Kalabari man will still go back to tell you where they come from. We know our roots. Doesn't matter. If I ask you, you're from Buguma, you can tell me where your great grandfather starts from. We're not lost. We're not a lost people. You can take us, you can put poverty, but we're never lost.
True.
Because we know where we come from and we know our roots, we can always rise. And that's the mistake people make. They think you can crush us, kill us. You can't. You can't. So it doesn't matter where we go. A man that knows where he comes from, we know where he's going. It's just the circumstance that is different. So we restore our dignity, we restore our pride. The people will bounce up, they will spring up. Because everyone, you see, you will meet a Kalabari man who he does not have 2 kobo to beg. But I dare you to tell him that he doesn't know where he comes from. That's the day you will know that he's Kalabari. All right, let me leave it at that.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Let's take some comments, please. Franklin Taria, Honorable TONYE, greetings to you, sir. Please, if you're being voted in as the Governor of Rivers State, what will be your plan, or what will you do concerning the illegal bunkering activities going on in the state? That's like supposed to be my next question.
It's a good question.
Going on in the state and the Kalabari region, knowing that as a governor you are to protect your people as well as to provide for your people in the state, also protecting the law.
It's a very good question. Make answer for pidgin or make answer for English, which one you want. Franklin, eh?
Yeah, Franklin Taria.
Taria. See, Franklin, that question we asked a very, very serious question and a very important question. A question with the worry not Nigeria, don't they worry everybody, don't they worry government. And no be problem where they only about River State. Just this weekend, I've been there worry. And I carry boat from Warri go Bamara to Kingdom. As we dey go for Delta State, the difference, if they tell you say na rivers you dey, you go believe. Yeah, because all na the same creek, the same mangrove forest, the same water, everything. But guess wetin I see? The same devastation wey oil dey kill the mangrove, the same problem wey we get am there. When I read the kingdom we dey talk, the problem wey dem get there na the same problem wey we get here. Fire na the problem. But before you start to dey deal with fire, say you dey attack fire, destroy all the people wey dey do and destroy their refinery, before you start that one, you get to ask the question. And the question will start with, why did they do am first? Why young man go get up, carry himself, go put for inside that kind wahala? Fire dey burn them. The place where dem dey work, dem dey see am, dem go dig pit, dem go carry the waste group, put am inside, dem dey see say e dey affect their own community. The fish for their own community dey die. Their mama and papa wey dey be fisherman, wey dey go carry salmon, all of those things, dem no dey get am again. Dem dey see all that problem, but still dem dey do am. Dem dey see say e dey kill, e dey pollute the entire environment, but still dem dey do am. So the question na why? If we no answer the why, we no fit solve the problem. So wetin be the problem? Why dem dey do am? One, na money. The man don sit down, he no see work. School no help am, work no help am, government no help am, nobody wan help am. He decide say make I go do the one wey I fit help myself. So the first aspect na money. How we go substitute the money wey dem dey make from fire with another kind money wey to give them dignity, say dem dey work. No be everybody dey do fire. No be everybody dey do illegal bunkering. Na handful of people dey do am. No be everybody get mind to do am. But the small people wey dey do am, dey affect the larger population. So you get to address the why first. So money not the issue. The reason about the money where they come because they no get work. You remember I say person where they sit down, devil they find work for your hand.
True.
All right. So make we address that issue. The next issue we say, if you don't address the issue about money, it means that you get to create alternative economy. Abi?
Yes.
So which kind of alternative economy you fit create for inside Niger Delta, for inside the creeks where we get for our riverine community? The beautiful thing about today, this world where we dey, na technology. See the room where we dey. Young people dey there behind the camera. We dey sit down here, people dey chat for inside their house. Nobody dey ask where dem dey. The fit dey call from Krakraman. Some of them fit dey Elen Sangama dey talk. We no know where dem dey, but dem dey chat. Why na technology? So one of the things wey God don bless us with today world be say we fit use technology create alternate economy for people, and we go do am. For this our area, we must do am. Technology must become a part of our solution for the area. We go bring am come o, make dem find work do. So we go dey address am small, make we transition the people wey dey do illegal refinery, transition them to one legitimate work. Dem get sense o. Those boys, they no be foolish people. For them to do the work, e get sense. Even people wey dey do 419, e no easy. E get sense. These people wey dey do profile, dem get a lot of sense. Dem get work. And as government, we suppose find how we go take the skill wey dem get, the talent wey dem get, the ingenuity wey dem get, carry am, transform am into something more legitimate for them to do, so that dem no go dey hide for inside one bush somewhere, dey do the thing wey go endanger them, endanger their family and all. Finally, to Mr. Taria, anybody wey dey live for Port Harcourt, for Rivers State, know wetin dem dey call soot, black soot. E dey affect all of us. You wake up for morning, your nose don dirty, black everywhere. You get White House, everything don black. Wetin we know, wetin we dey forget be say all of us dey breathe this thing, and children dey most vulnerable. Newborn babies dey vulnerable. 20 years from now, in fact, one doctor bin dey tell me say as at now, one of the highest health issues wey we get na respiratory issues for children. E dey affect us, e dey kill us. So we get to address am. No, this one no be something wey you go comot eye say you no go address. You must address am.
Your Excellency, we have another comment from Comrade Reginald Solomon. Also, sir, with the number of candidates from the Kalabari Kingdom, which is not good for us as a people, if we must occupy brick house next year, what are you doing in a bid to reach out to the other aspirants for a, and as this is eminent if we must win?
Okay. Reginald, right?
Yeah.
Reginald, thank you for that question. And again, it's something that is of concern to us. But the competitive spirit of the Kalabari man would always cause people to come out and stand. But it also provides an avenue for negotiations and discussions. So, in negotiating and discussing, I have met with the candidates, we've reached out, and we continue to talk to each other. At the end of the day, by the time we get to the election itself, I am 80% confident that by the time we get to that point, we would have narrowed down the field. Not all of them will be there running, but all of them will be a part of this greater Kalabari renaissance. So they all have a part to play. So Reginald, the rest assured, we are working on it. We are reaching out, we are talking to them. We have emissaries talking to them, elders are talking to them, chiefs are talking to them. We'll get there.
Okay. Your Excellency, it's still about, my next question is still about oil theft. Do you think you would like to join forces with the federal government to fight the oil theft?
To fight it. I like the word fight. So, one of the industries that I've been in for the last 25 years has been the oil industry. It's a place I know, people I know, jobs I have done. I know that industry very, very, very well. And I know the problems of the oil industry. And I know it is not a problem that one person can solve. Rivers State government cannot solve it alone. It's impossible. The Nigerian army cannot solve it alone. Absolutely impossible. The Navy cannot solve it alone. Impossible. These are federal institutions. Even if Rivers State government set up a specific task force for bunkering and illegal theft, they will fail. They can't work it out. It requires stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders? The stakeholders include the people who are in bunkering. It includes former militants. It includes the communities that are most affected by bunkering. It includes the fishermen and women. It includes market women who used to make a living selling fish. You know, I'm going to digress a bit. The other day, I heard one of the most depressing stories of a community, I think it's Bile community, that has to import fish. It's unheard of. They can't fish in that area. So they must import fish to come in there. And fish has become more expensive within riverine communities than meat. It tells you the scale of the problem. So I digress a bit. So getting back to your question, no, you can't do it alone. And if anybody tells you that, oh, this is a problem, they'll do it alone, they're lying. It cannot be done alone.